Hey everybody, Ron here. Let's see how this video goes. I play board games. I don't play just role-playing games. As a matter of fact, I have over 70 physical games in my collection because I chose to be selective and only have so much space to dedicate to that. But I like a wide variety of games. I like party games. I like small two-player games, big, massive strategy games. I like co-op games. But one of my favorites is Marvel Champions by Fantasy Flight Games. If you don't know what it is, Marvel Champions is a cooperative card game that is an evolution of the system that is in the Arkham Horror card game or the Lord of the Rings card game before that. And it's pretty fantastic, very thematic. I absolutely love it. Why do I love it? That's why I'm recording this video. I have 9 different reasons in no particular order, actually in alphabetical order. In order for you folks to understand how the game works, I would explain it, but Fantasy Flight it does a better job of it with higher production values, and so that link will be below. And now, on to the list. Allies. Allies are the heroes and sidekicks that help you accomplish a goal. They don't take the center stage. You take the center stage playing your hero, but they do help out in their different ways. One of the neat things about the allies is that a lot of them have effects that trigger when they enter play, and they can be pretty dramatic. Like Maria Hill letting everyone draw a card in a multiplayer games. She's a hero. She also has two thwart, which is pretty fantastic. They can sacrifice for you. There's a concept called chump blocking. I'm new to living card games, and this is a fascinating thing where you use the ally as much as you can, and then since they have the ability to defend for you instead, you get them down to 1 HP, and you let them block for you when the villain attacks. I feel like it's very thematic, much like you'll see something in a movie or a comic book. Pretty cool. One of my favorite allies to play, he's pretty expensive to play, is Nick Fury. He is called Gandalf because he is similar to Gandalf in the Lord of the Rings LCG, which I don't play the physical version, but I play the digital version. So he comes in and he does some awesome stuff, and he's only there for a round and then he goes away, much like Nick Fury in the comics and the movies. And that can be a pretty dramatic turn when he comes into play. He comes in, does his thing, does some more damage, or does some more thwart, and then block for you, and he goes away. It's pretty cool. The superhero genre is not just about the heroes laying the smackdown on the villains and the minions. It's also about the other side of their lives, their alter egos. And this game encapsulates that pretty cool. They have a double-sided identity card. One side is your hero, but the other side is your alter ego that represents what you do in your mundane life and everything like that. But it also represents the skills that you have from that life. And those skills can be pretty useful too. And for example, we're going to look at Peter Parker here. Peter Parker has a scientist power, which lets him produce a mental resource in his alter ego. And let me tell you, that's pretty cool. Of course, that Peter Parker is a pretty smart guy and he's a scientist and everything like that. And so it just makes a whole lot of thematic sense and mechanical sense. We're going to talk about difficulty. This game is pretty accessible as far as difficulty is concerned. If you're casual or completely new to the game, you can play this in rookie mode, which is you defeat stage 1 of the villain. It's good for introductory game, demo game, casual game. You have standard mode, which you have to defeat stages 1 and 2 of the villain, and you have the standard cards. This will probably suffice for most casual fans. But then you start to get into an increase in difficulty. Do expert mode, where you have to defeat stages 2 and 3 of the villain, and then you add some expert cards, which can ramp up the difficulties considerably. And then you have heroic mode for those that are truly insane. It's as expert mode, but you add X amount of extra encounter cards per player, where X is a number like 1, 2, 3. And it can get pretty crazy playing games in expert mode. And I've personally found that there are villains that have been lackluster, where once I played them in heroic mode, even heroic 1, it pretty much fixed them, like the Wrecking Crew. It's neat in implementation, and I'm sure in multiplayer games there's more interaction going on, but it's pretty lackluster in solo. But heroic 1 Wrecking Crew totally fixed the scenario for me in solo. So you'll see here, I'm showing off Rhino's cards 1, 2, and 3, and he changes in damage. Stage 1 is pretty vanilla, and then stage 2, when that card's revealed, he starts with a side scheme. So remember, expert, you start on stage 2, so you start in a game with an extra obstacle having to deal with that side scheme, which I'll talk about in a moment. And then stage 3, when it's revealed, he gets tough and he stuns each hero. Man, that can be tough. That can be a tempo changer, a tempo stopper even. So we'll talk about encounter cards next. Encounter cards add a wide variety of challenges to the game, and their mix can lead to a wide variety of play experiences. There's these different types of encounter cards. There's treacheries, which just does bad stuff in general. You have minions, which are like allies except for the bad guys. You have attachments, which attach to the villain, and usually those are pretty bad. Or some of the attachments attach to the heroes and do detrimental things, like keep you from changing identities. And then you have side schemes, which I promise you I will cover later. For example, we'll look here at Power Drain. It's a pretty bad side scheme. You can read it. Just take my word for it. It's no fun when this comes out. Next, we'll talk about Nemeses. They are minions that are specific to a hero. There's a encounter card called Shadows of the Past. When that comes out on your player turn, you pull out your set aside Nemesis and the side scheme, and things get wrapped up really badly. And they can show up at exactly the wrong time. For example, one of the more flavorful ones and difficult ones, I believe, is Loki, who's Thor's nemesis. He comes out, and the crazy thing about him is that once you defeat him, you got to reveal the top card of the encounter deck, and if it's a treachery, he heals up, and he still stays in play, just like a trickster. And then his side scheme adds one threat to the side scheme for each Asgard traded card in play. And let me tell you, when you're playing Thor, you have a lot of cards with the Asgard trait. Thor has the Asgard trait. Loki has the Asgard trait. It gets bonkers, but it's something I like. It's one of the ones that I really not enjoy seeing when it comes up. Obligations are what make the alter egos really come into play. They are cards that are flavorful, that force you to deal with characters' real life, home life. For example, Peter Parker's obligation is eviction notice makes sense, right? He can be a high school or a college student struggling to make ends meet, and that obligation makes a lot of sense. Okay, I've talked about side schemes before, and now we'll cover them and schemes together. Of course, the villain has evil plans that they accomplish that is represented through the scheme system. They might have 1 or 2 or 3 schemes in a series of events where they're adding threat to that, and when it hits the threat threshold, they accomplish the scheme. And when you get to the last scheme, if they get enough threat for that, they win the game. They can be as simple as a smash and grab or big as destroying the world through nuclear holocaust. But most of them, like I said, most of them multi-stage and they tell a story. And side schemes can really wreck your day because when you think you have a handle on the villain and you got a good tempo going, you got a side scheme that comes out and prevents you from dealing with the main scheme, or it adds an extra encounter card, or, it's just bad news. So I was playing this game where my partner was playing Thor Leadership and I was playing Captain America Justice, and we were playing Expert Rhino. And of course, Shadows of the Past came up with the Thor character. Loki came out. Remember when I was talking about Loki earlier? Well, he's defeated Loki, and we had this moment where it was like we were holding our breath to see what that card was, and it was not a treachery. And Loki went away, and we breathed a sigh of relief. But that was a pretty dramatic moment for us. We both cheered. And one of the cool things about the game is that, the teamwork in this game is really awesome. You have a back and forth. The round structure is pretty fluid. You can ask your partner to allow you to play an action. And so, there's this back and forth where you really have to communicate, and you can really get some good synergy going. And I love it, playing it multiplayer. I've played it mostly solo, but my multiplayer experiences have been pretty cool. And finally, I'll talk about traits. There are many card games that have these things. They are one-word descriptors that paint a picture of who the hero is. For me, it promises a game where being an Avenger, a spy, soldier, a SHIELD agent, like that matters. And as a matter of fact, Captain America is an Avenger. And one of my favorite cards, it's questionable to me on its usefulness, but it's super thematic, is of course Avengers Assemble. And it readies all Avengers in Cap's play area. And it gives all Avengers on the table, whether you control them or other people control them, +1 attack and +1 thwart for the round. And that is an awesomely thematic moment. And that all comes from triggers based on traits. So there you have it. That is my video about why I love Marvel Champions. Give it a shout. Until next time, see you later.